The sun peeked through the towering glass windows of the Kingsley mansion, pouring golden light over marble floors that had never felt a barefoot step. The house was beautiful, enormous chandeliers hung from the ceilings, gold-framed paintings lined the hallways, and the scent of roses drifted through the air. Yet, beneath all that luxury, there was a cold emptiness that no money could fill. Ethan Kingsley, the young heir of billionaire Charles Kingsley, lay in his vast bedroom, pale and fragile. His little hands clutched a teddy bear that had long lost its fur. The boy's chest rose and fell weakly with each breath, and the once lively sparkle in his hazel eyes had dimmed. Doctors had been visiting for months, prescribing every medicine known to the wealthy world. Specialists from New York, London, and Tokyo had been flown in. Every test, every scan, every diagnosis said the same: there's nothing medically wrong. But Ethan was getting worse. Charles Kingsley stood in the doorway most mornings, his expensive suit perfectly pressed, his tie never out of place, but his eyes told a different story. He was a man drowning in guilt. His wife, Elena, had passed away 3 years ago, and Ethan was all he had left. Yet, in his desperate chase for business empires and wealth, he had missed the one thing his son truly needed: love, warmth, and time. After firing several caretakers who failed to help Ethan's condition, Charles hired a new nanny, Maria, a humble woman from a small town nearby. She wasn't educated in the ways of luxury, nor did she speak with fancy words. But there was kindness in her voice, gentleness in her eyes, and a strength that came from years of hardship. When Maria first entered the grand bedroom, she felt small in front of all the opulence. But her heart broke at the sight of the little boy lying helpless on the bed. She walked softly toward him, placed her warm hand on his forehead, and whispered, "You're safe now, my dear." Ethan blinked up at her, and for the first time in weeks, his lips curved faintly into a smile. Days turned into weeks. Maria sang lullabies instead of switching on machines. She cooked simple homemade meals for Ethan instead of the chef's lavish dishes. She read him stories about love and courage instead of letting the television blare news about stocks and business. Slowly, Ethan began to show signs of life again. He talked, laughed faintly, and even tried to sit up. Charles watched from afar, puzzled yet relieved. "What's your secret, Maria?" he once asked her during breakfast. She smiled. "There's no secret, sir. Sometimes, love heals more than medicine." But the peace didn't last. One night, Maria was tucking Ethan into bed when he whispered something that froze her heart. "Nanny, can you tell the lady under my bed to stop singing?" Maria's hands trembled. "What lady, sweetheart?" "The one who comes at night. She sings the same song Mommy used to sing." Maria tried to calm him down. "It's just a dream, Ethan. Go to sleep." But that night, she couldn't sleep either. The next morning, she noticed something strange. One of Ethan's medicine bottles was half empty, even though she hadn't given him that dose. When she asked the house staff, they all denied touching it. Over the next few days, Ethan's condition worsened again. He grew weaker, started coughing violently, and couldn't eat. Maria begged Charles to call the doctor, but every test still came back normal. "Your son is fine," the doctor insisted. "Maybe it's psychological." Maria didn't believe it. Something felt terribly wrong in that room. Late one evening, after putting Ethan to bed, she decided to stay behind to tidy up. As she picked up a dropped toy car, she noticed something gleaming under the bed, a small white pill bottle lying sideways. She crawled closer, heart pounding. The bottle had no hospital label, only a faint handwritten mark, "Take before sleep." Maria's hands shook as she opened it. Inside were small, off-white pills that didn't match any of Ethan's prescribed medicines. She sniffed them gently and instantly felt dizzy. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Suddenly, she heard a noise behind her. The door creaked open, and there stood Mr. Kingsley, his face pale with confusion. "Maria. What are you doing?" She stood up slowly, holding the bottle in her trembling hand. "Sir, where did these come from?" Charles frowned. "What do you mean?" He stepped closer, took the bottle, and read the label. Then his eyes widened. Recognition, horror, and disbelief spread across his face. "No, that's impossible," he whispered. "Sir." Maria asked softly. He looked toward the bed where Ethan lay sleeping, unaware of the storm brewing. "This handwriting, it's my late wife's." Maria gasped. "Your wife?" Charles nodded, voice breaking. "Before she died, she was under heavy medication. These are her old sleeping pills. But how did they get here? The realization struck both of them like lightning. Someone had been slipping the boy his mother's toxic pills, a slow poison. Charles sank into the chair, covering his face with his hands. No, please tell me she's wrong, he muttered, voice cracking. Maria placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. We'll find out who did this, sir. I promise. But right now, we need to save your son. Without wasting a second, she called the emergency number and rushed to keep Ethan awake. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered prayers, begging God to spare the innocent child. Charles stood frozen, his mind spinning with guilt, grief, and fear. As the ambulance sirens echoed through the night, the grand mansion that once shone with pride now stood drenched in sorrow. But deep in Maria's heart, she knew the truth beneath that bed was only the beginning, and what she'd uncover next would change everything.